Hi, welcome back to the music class number 6. This is going to be kind of a super short lesson today because basically what we're going to do is we're just going to review everything we've already talked about. Do you remember we talked about sound and silence, notes and rests? We drew them all and we showed you the differences, the subtle differences between each note and between each rest. Also remember, we talked about the staff, the 5 lines and 4 spaces. Then we had to come up with the letter names for the staff, so then I introduced you to the piano. Now, the piano, as I told you, starts way up on the left-hand side with the first letter A, and it just keeps repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating all the way up to the last key of the piano, C. So it goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Okay, now this is just the middle part of the piano that most pianists and most musicians will learn because of this section over here is mostly for flutes, clarinets, saxophones, trumpets, some French horn players, violins. Over here we have all of the other instruments, the cellos, trombones, baritones, tubas. This over here is also for sopranos and altos, and this is for tenors and basses. Pretty important stuff, but it's just the middle section. Did you notice how the keys line up exactly with the lines and spaces? So now we have the letter names of the lines and spaces. I introduced you to the treble clef, and I introduced you to the bass clef. Okay? And sometimes people want to get, you want to make sure that you do these correctly. Because if you just scribble and scribble, you can kind of mess some people up. But this is also called the G clef because it circles around the line G. And it's also called the F clef because if you were to connect these dots, it would point to this line F. Okay, now the next step. We have to try to put all of this together. And that's what we're going to do now. Don't forget the bottom number of our fraction here because that's very important. So now I'm going to put the notes on the staff. Now it's going to have 2 names. For instance, if I put a half note on the space, that's my brown. It's not very good, is it? Let me get a different color here. I'll just go to the black color. So if I put the half note right here, it now has 2 names. It's a half note on A. If I put a quarter note down here, let's just pick this one. Put a quarter note right there. Now that is a quarter note on D. So you see how putting our symbols of sound on the staff, we get 2 names per note. So now we've combined sound and silences, 2 sets of opposites. Sound and silences, high and low sounds. Okay, now you see some other things here we haven't touched, like the black keys of the piano. Don't worry about that yet. We're going to talk about those later on. And the next time we get together, we are going to talk about formatting our music. You know, it's like a computer, you format the disk. We're going to do that the next time we get together. And it involves these bottom numbers, and it involves beats. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Hey, thanks. I'll see you then. Bye.